Let's see everyone watch this.
You can look in the middle here, or whatever you're comfortable.
Well, the Nashville Zoo means a lot to me from the standpoint that I'm from Tennessee. A lot of people don't know that I'm from Knoxville. Born there, raised there. My dad went to Vanderbilt, was captain of football and basketball back in the 30s. And so you can imagine how much fun it is for me to come back to Nashville. I was brought to Nashville in 1965 to Printer's Alley. My dad brought me here for my 18th birthday. 1965, Printer's Alley. I know I'm not in the zoo world yet, but I'm just getting there. It was like a zoo. But I just, when I come back here, I really did. I got tears in my eyes, my wife will tell you, because when you get back in Tennessee, it's just a special place. And this zoo here, by the way, I've been here for an hour and a half now by myself and my wife, just by ourselves, walking around the zoo. And there are about 222 zoos in the country today. I would classify the Nashville Zoo as one of the top 20, and I don't say that because I'm here. I do about 25 zoos a year, and I would do the interviews, and I'll say it's a great zoo. I can tell you now that these folks have in Nashville, the way this place is landscaped, and the way that Rick built this thing in the board, or whoever built all this, is absolutely phenomenal. That's all I can tell you. I hope that people realize that live here in the Nashville area, in the Tennessee area, of the jewel that they have here, because this is a phenomenal zoo, everyone. I've never seen one landscaped this way, and yes, it might not be the biggest zoo, but I guarantee you, this zoo will become one of the best zoos in the country in the next few years.
What do we look forward to coming up next week?
Now, I have 3 shows. I'm sorry, you had to edit this. I hate to do it to you. We have Animal Adventures in the Wild, and my new one on ABC that started last Saturday was Jack Hanna's Wild Countdown. I think that's what you might be referring to. Yes, right. The newest show out we have right now, we have Jack Hanna's In the Wild, which is syndicated. The Animal Adventures show is now syndicated and reruns. And then our new show, Jack Hanna's Wild Countdown, is just last Saturday for our first show. And what it amounts to is over 15,000 tapes and about another several thousand discs we have over the last 28 years I've done this. And we brought all that together like the top 10 cats of the world. This week will be the top 10 bears of the world. From the polar bear to the North Pole, to the bear, the sun bears, to the Malaysian bears, to the black bears, the Komodo white bear, only 400 in the world left up in northern territories. And the best camouflages in the world. So it's always going to be the top 10. And I could do probably 300 shows with 20,000 tapes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you might see what I looked like 20 years ago, and you might see what I looked like 20 hours ago. So if you see a difference there, obviously there's a little difference there, but I don't think you'll notice. Some of the most memorable encounters I have are we film with a lot of decency when we film in the wild. We don't, even though Steve Irwin was a good friend of mine, tremendous guy, ambassador to animals. That's the way Steve was. He was raised that way. I like some of the guys on TV today that jump on animals, wrestle animals, get blood and all that stuff. That's not what it's about. Steve's life was the animal world. He gave millions of dollars back to the animal world. But my favorite thing is I have a little house in Rwanda. Is go and see the mountain gorilla. Even though I've done it time and time again, you still get chills if you're within 20 feet of a 400-pound silverback gorilla. There's only 600 in the world. The gorillas you see in zoos today are lowland gorillas. They're about 300,000. The mountain gorilla, less than 600. And they're much bigger than the lowland gorilla. So you can imagine how big they are. And there are none in zoos anywhere in the world. And that's a real thrill for me. Even all elephants, I saw your elephant habitat here. Elephants I'm fascinated with. King cobras. I was in Malaysia filming cobras here last year. That's phenomenal. I can't tell you, seeing a giant river otter up in the Amazon about 200 miles in November was something. So it's hard to make a moment that was memorable. Kayaking with the killer whale right next to you, which popped up. They said they went around the area, and then of course that.
Wow.
I thought I was in Noah's. What do you call it? That whale story? The whale stomach? Not Noah.
Jonah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jonah, Noah, same thing.
Do you have a favorite animal?
My wife. No. I just she wouldn't listen. It's hard because we have dogs at home now. We used to raise lions, tigers back at our farm in Tennessee back in the 70s, but I'm fascinated by a lot of animals. I really am. I know I'm not answering the question, but elephants are something that I do. I sit out by the hours, whether it's Asian or African, especially African, there's not many Asians left, and I watch the elephant. I think it'll be proven in time that the elephant is just as intelligent as a chimpanzee or gorilla. I mean, as far as the makeup of what a brain is. These animals' communication, watching them when they have when elephant die and just kick sand on it, watch how they treat their family, watch a mother elephant be poached, and watch the baby go over to another elephant to nurse. That's unheard of usually in the animal world. And I could go on and on about elephants, but there's just so many that I've been very fortunate to work with. It's hard to say. And we raise a lot of cats. I love cats as well.
So you wouldn't be able to pick if you had a chance to have an animal from the wild to have as a pet?
No,
you
know, because I'm fascinated by all of them. You know, our daughter Julie's here today. She's had a terrible bout with cancer and brain, a lot of problems. And the neat thing I think about animals, I guess, from my standpoint, is when I visit hospitals and I visit places where children are terminally ill, like St. Jude here in Tennessee, where she was for many years back in the 70s. When I visit, no matter what hospital it is, Columbus, Ohio, or nursing homes, so I get to go there. That's the biggest thrill I get, believe it or not. It may sound corny to you folks, but when you see people who don't have long and they smile and forget the pain they have because of the animal world, it means a lot to me. Because the animals can't talk.
A lot of kids are getting exotic animals as pets, like iguanas, bearded dragons, stuff like that. What age would you recommend that a child be able to take care of?
Right. I'm not going to say that a young person shouldn't have, when you order exotic, if it is a lizard or something like that, and they want to spend the money to take care of it. It's not a matter of going to a pet shop or anywhere and buying a toad for $10.
Yeah.
The point is they're going to spend hundreds of dollars on that toad. It's like for example, someone says, well, what about lions and tigers, which are now putting a stop to it finally after so many years? I have no problem. For example, if you want to go out and get a lion, I have no problem with that. But guess what? If you're willing to spend $1 million on that lion's habitat, then of course I'll help you get a lion. But no one's going to do that. Yeah. As Rick and people know in this business, what happens, I'm sorry to say, most people that have those animals can't afford to feed them for one day. And what happens is, it's like a loaded gun. That's what happens. And all of us have been in the business know what I'm talking about. So it teaches love and responsibility when someone has a pet. Hopefully a dog or cat or maybe a bird, whatever. But if they want to start getting to know, as long as they're being bred in domestically, not just people running around in the jungles plucking them out of the wild, kind of thing. You know, I don't have a problem with that. But it takes care. It takes work. And any child I talk to or schools, I explain that to them. You just can't put something in a box and say, here's a toad. You know, it's just not fair to the toad.
Yeah. Great.